Hi guys, we're about to get started here in 1 minute, and I'm just doing this really exciting kind of fun event for Sugar Detox Prep Week. And I was going to put this video together just in our private Facebook group, and I decided that just for our first kind of introducing what Prep Week is all about, and since people are joining our Sugar Detox throughout Prep Week, it would be fun to kind of give you this live and to show you some of the things that we're going to learn over Prep Week. So we started Prep Week this year a few Sugar Detoxes ago, and I actually learned it from when I was doing Beachbody challenges, the fitness groups. I just saw how much people were getting out of having an entire week to learn the process and wrap up kind of what the eating plan would be like, and trying out recipes and just kind of getting a feel for the process and how much more successful they were over 21 days. So I decided to add that idea to my Sugar Detox, where we take the first week and we just go step by step, investigating, trying out different things, so that when you actually start the detox, you get 21 amazing days of focus. Also, it gives you a chance to problem solve, like tweaks, things that you can see that, wow, this is really going to be an issue for me. I will need to solve that in order to have my best possible experience. So that's what we're kind of going to be doing during Prep Week, and I'm going to give you kind of an idea of some of the things that we're going to talk about. So for example, I prepped today. It took me about 1 hour to prep the food that I'll be eating this week. And when I first started Lily's Kitchen, I used to just make some extra stuff for me. But now that I have wonderful employees who get first pick of all the leftovers, there's not too much left for me. And if you ask anybody who cooks for a living, very soon you get sick of your own food, and all you want is the simplest food possible that you can make for yourself. So like omelets and all sorts of fun things like that. The last kids are heading off to bed. So, okay, I'm going to give you an idea of kind of some of the things that we're going to be talking about over Prep Week. So of course we go through recipes and we go through different ideas over Prep Week. But one of the top things that we do is we kind of get to know what we should be eating. Nothing to do per se with the detox, having to do with the detox is a way to really get in touch with the stuff you should be eating every day. So, for example, I made a bunch of different kinds of proteins that I'm going to be eating this week. So we have egg cups here with broccoli and green onion. So those are like a really easy breakfast for me. And I'm just gonna take a minute and go through like different proteins. So I don't eat chicken, but my husband does, my brother does. So I made just some plain chicken breast baked in the oven. One sec here. And then, sorry, just had to grab that. I made some tofu with turmeric and sea salt. And then I made these gorgeous salmon fillets with dill and chives and preserved lemon. So those are basically the proteins that I'm going to eat this week. And I made a red bean stew. And when it comes to beans, so I kind of trade off. Sometimes I'll count them as proteins and sometimes I'll count them as carbohydrates. It kind of depends on what I need more of that day. So I made a red bean chili, which I will show you. And this again is the easiest possible recipe. Like I have a lot of recipes for chilies. We make them a lot in different cook-offs and kidney beans, a can of medium salsa, crushed red peppers, crushed tomatoes, with basil, salt, pepper, and some chili seasoning that I love from the brand Simply Organic. It's fantastic. That's all that is. It takes 15 minutes to make. And then I made lentils with onions and lime. Ready for okay, this is really important because in order to, how do I keep my food tasting fresh all week? That's a really good question, Esther. When you eat food that you didn't just make that minute, it doesn't taste like you just made it that minute. But I'm really busy, and it's really, it tastes great heated up. It's just great. So it may not be as amazing perhaps as it tastes right now. Maybe there's like a 3% difference. And that 3% is 100% worth it to pay to have it already be ready. So you always have to know yourself, and you have to know your payoffs. And I'll make some food fresh. Like sometimes I'll make a fresh omelet, but especially, you know, I'm going through some really hard stuff in our family right now. And part of what motivated me to prep ahead this week was knowing that when I'm better on my nutrition and I'm, you know, exercising every day, it helps to keep me moving. It helps to keep me taking care of me in a really focused way, so that then I can be present for everybody else in my life I need to be present for right now. So, you know, that's really important. And yeah, so that 2% maybe difference of eating it fresh versus eating it the next day, totally worth it. I usually will prep on Sunday. So like again, Sunday night I'm prepping. So really, and I last through Thursday, 100% fresh, no problem. And then Shabbos already we're having fresh food. So talking about 3-4 days, it's never been a problem for me. What I want to talk about now with proteins is portion size. So each egg, 2 eggs, is 1 portion of protein. See? Hello. 1 portion of protein. How much salmon would be an appropriate portion? These are the kind of things we talk about during prep week. We'll take just 1 food group at a time and we'll go through. This is 1 piece of salmon. 1 little piece. That's 3/4 of a cup of salmon. Okay? That's about 3 ounces. It's not such a big piece, but that's an actual size of protein. Chicken breast. Right? This size chicken breast. And I know some of you are saying, well, I could eat a whole pan of chicken breast. How could I possibly be satisfied after 3 ounces? Here's the thing. When you're eating a balanced meal and you're eating enough calories throughout the day because you're eating healthy fats, you're eating carbohydrates, you're eating fruits, you're eating vegetables, you're eating everything, or when we take out fruit, we're making sure to balance that by having healthy sugar, fructose from another source, or having lactase by having dairy. It's really important to balance. And as long as you're eating balanced, then you're not going to be hungry. In fact, you're going to maybe even have a hard time realizing how much you need to eat. For example, for me, I need to eat 4 servings of this kind of protein a day according to the plan that I'm currently on. And I like to vary my eating plan every month or two, every time I switch workouts. So again, with the sugar detox, it's very broad, the guidelines, and you can really let hunger guide you in terms of your portion control, or you can pick a workout. We really highly recommend working out while you're doing the sugar detox, but it can be walking, it can be 10-minute videos on YouTube. You could choose a program like I like to do. You could do yoga with Adriene. Really, it's up to you. But depending kind of on what kind of exercise you're committing to, will depend really on your portions. So for example, I've been doing country heat, which is a lot of cardio and not so much strength training. So I'm at 4 servings of protein, and for me, I'm at 3 servings of like grain kind of carbohydrates. So for example, I made long grain brown rice, right? Long grain brown rice, and 1/2 cup is going to be a serving of that. I did some baked sweet potato in the oven, in the microwave, and each sweet potato here is going to be half a serving. Is going to be half a sweet potato is 1 serving because they're pretty big. And I love roasted sweet potato, but I actually realized that I really love just sweet potato baked in the microwave. Just wash the skins really well, and I'm not a big, huge microwave person, but just the convenience and the time and the no oil has been great. I really, really like those. And the last thing I made was whole oats, was oatmeal. Just plain oatmeal that I'll portion up, and then whatever I'm in the mood for, I'll add at the time. So that'll kind of also keep it fresh. So that's basically an idea of a basic prep week for me. Now, where are the vegetables you might add? You want to talk about fresh. So I don't like to prep my vegetables so much ahead of time. I cook so much. I'm so much in the kitchen that for me personally, cutting up a cucumber, defrosting some broccoli, adding some green beans is no problem. And for example, last week I made a huge container of sauteed zucchini for myself, and I made like 2 containers worth with Brussels sprouts and asparagus, and I literally could not get through it throughout the week. Like I had a nice handful every time I sat down to eat, but I didn't find that it was really saving me any time, and I was just getting sick of it. So, yeah, and the rice is a half a cup, and the oatmeal is a half a cup per serving, and the sweet potato is a half a cup. So, for me, I used to take a box and put a portion of protein and a portion of carbohydrates in each kind of box, so that I knew that I could just add a vegetable whenever I wanted, and I would have either a salad, or I could add like a frozen vegetable and have a cooked vegetable, or roast something fresh or saute something fresh if I was in the mood. However, I've kind of stopped doing that. Yeah, after being cooked, a half cup after being cooked. So I've stopped doing that, and I tend now to just put all my proteins, like all my fish in one box, all my eggs in one box, all my chicken in one box, and then kind of build as I go. Because sometimes I'm in the mood for the salmon hot, and sometimes I'm in the mood for a salmon salad. And it gives me a lot more ability to kind of make it fresh by just tossing it in a frying pan instead of heating it in the microwave, adding a little lemon juice or something. It just brightens it right up, makes it feel very fresh. But again, sometimes I don't have time, and I'm happy to eat it straight out of the containers. You don't have to put your food in containers, and you can divide up how much you spread out your meals. Totally up to you during the sugar detox. And again, if you are a huge legume person and you want to have more of that and less fish or meat, that's great. Like, you know, it's very much your choice. It's really focused on whole foods. So the kind of foods we have here, plus lots of gorgeous vegetables. We do limit fruit, and we do that because we want to see how we're reacting to fruit and how much really space it should be taking in our life. So, for example, 1 week you'll have fruit and you won't have dairy. And then the next week you'll have dairy and not fruit. And for a lot of people, it's a huge eye opener during this 3-week process to see what triggers you specifically. Because so many diets, you know, they have to give you a general base. And we like to say a diet is, did you eat today? You know, are you ready to eat food that's going to make you feel good? And to do that, you have to know what makes you feel good and not somebody else. So, for example, I've learned over time that pasta, things like that, even whole wheat, whole grain pasta, do not make me feel good. They absolutely trigger cravings in me. And I was sure that because of that, I could not have carbs. I thought I'm stuck being a low-carb person my whole life. And it was a huge transformation for me to know that, wow, I can have brown rice, I can have quinoa, I can have lentils, I can have beans, I can have all these other carby things and actually feel amazing, as long as I stay away from the things that have a lot of flour. And during the first 2 weeks of the detox, you don't have anything that's made from flour, for example, only in the last week, because for a lot of people, it's not a trigger. For me, it really is. And this last month, you know, I had bread, like sourdough, good, high quality, 100% spelt bread. And slowly over the month, it turned into more and more and more of those kind of carbs rather than carbs from beans and lentils and whole grains, things like that. So I'm so excited. I'm going to be on the sugar detox with you guys, especially with all this emotional stuff going around. For me, the best thing that I can be doing for myself is to be conscious that I'm feeling this desire to eat emotionally and to act out and to distract myself with a bigger problem of losing weight rather than focusing on what's really going on. And that's why focusing on the sugar detox is a transformative process. It's a process of learning what works for your body and learning how to prepare food ahead of time and following easy, simple recipes. We have, you know, our book that comes with an entire 21 days worth of recipes, but then we also have a whole set of recipes called Fast and Furious that I put together right after I had my last baby exactly 1 year ago this week, and when I really had zero time. What I was still doing that was working for me that are all sugar detox approved. So there's just no excuse to not be able to eat well. So why did we decide to do this one live versus these are the kind of live videos we do all the time in just our sugar detox group? Because this one is really special. Normally, we do our 3-week sugar detox from Purim till Pesach. And this year, we are changing it up. and putting Purim right smack in the middle of the detox. And that's because a lot of times we get distracted with all the insanity of getting ready for Pesach, that we work so hard to get these habits done, and then kind of they fly out the window right over Pesach. By starting before Purim and watching how you can enjoy Purim 100% without really feeling like you've given up anything. Really focusing on what you enjoy about Purim and giving up the stuff that really is only sabotaging you and doesn't make you feel good. So by doing that, you're really going to have a more amazing, more meaningful Purim experience, and then that's going to translate into feeling prepared and ready for your spring outfits and ready to be present and mindful and enjoy all the way through Pesach. And then right after Pesach, I think we'll already be having our next sugar detox. So it's going to be very exciting, and it's very enlightening in terms of how to think of the holidays. Instead of thinking of this as a diet, it's really an opportunity to transform your relationship with food and to heal emotional eating and to focus on what are the things that trigger cravings. You know, we have some dark chocolate, we have some Ceylon, we have some natural honey, we have some maple syrup, we have some stevia in the sugar detox, but we rotate things, and you get to see, wow, somebody told me in the last detox that even like 85% dark chocolate triggers cravings for her. She had no idea that she could have fruit. She could have so many other things, but dairy and chocolate, and she had no idea she always had dairy and chocolate as part of her life. And the second that those left, it was like night and day. Just her desire for all these other crap that she was eating was gone. So for everybody, it's different. What's going to be the thing that you may discover about yourself? You know, there are a lot of people who came into this thinking that they are low-carb people, like I was. They're like, oh no, I can't have carbs. And when they realized that when they were having the right carbs, when they were having slow carbs, when they were having nutritive carbs without flour, it was a totally different ballgame. There are other people who realize how much they need protein, that really all they've been surviving on is sugar in their body, and how much more energized and fantastic they feel when they're getting enough protein. So it's really a chance for you to discover yourself. We've been thinking about renaming the detox for years, because our first thing we say in the detox is, your body detoxes all by itself. This is a little bit of a misnomer, but what we're going to do is get out of the way so that our body can do its daily functioning and detoxing and show us how healthy and energized and amazing we can feel when we're not dumping garbage into our bodies. 3 things that I'd like to share with you guys. Number 1, people have said that their Shabbos meals have been transformed from the sugar detox. The way their family eats has been transformed from the sugar detox, because they're making lots of new recipes, and a lot of them their kids are responding to, and a lot of them their spouse is responding to. And it's really made a difference in their whole family. In terms of the exercise, a lot of people are getting together and cooking together in groups and really forming bonds that are taking them, in a continued journey. And the funny thing about it, though, is with people who have the best experience, often the first time they do the detox, sometimes have a hard time recommitting, because it's a lifetime membership. So you can do this however much you need. Like, I'm still doing it, every other month, because you can't be obsessed with what you eat. You can't be as prepared every single month. So by doing it more and more often, what you're doing is you're building in those habits and those muscles, and then letting them sink in and saying, okay, hey, what's sticking this time? What's not sticking? And what I found when I actually talked to the people who were having a hard time recommitting was that they had actually implemented a lot of the stuff we do in the sugar detox in their day-to-day lives. So from taking it from the 60% that they're maintaining back to 100% of detox eating was really a struggle, because they had found such a good, easy momentum at 50%. And for any of you guys who are in that situation, who are debating whether you're going to do this detox, it's a lifetime free membership. So people, come on and off depending on their what's going on in their life, how much they need to focus on sleep and self-worth and self-confidence and body image, or not. And hi guys, hi Ayelet, hi Tikva, hi Karen, hi Carrie, hi Jolly. So there's so many interesting things that happen, because when you recommit, you're saying, I think I could do just a little bit better. I think that if I focus on that extra 40%, Maybe I'm going to take 10% with me, and then my daily level won't be at 60, it'll be at 70. And that's the kind of attitude that you want to have as you go through. Is every time I repeat this process, I only need to take an extra 5-10% with me into my daily life, and I'm just going to continue to see that build. And I laugh when people say, oh, but Lily, you eat like this all the time. Yeah, I didn't start that way. I've been doing the sugar detox on and off for years already. But if every time it comes up, I do it, in the last year, every other month, I've done the sugar detox. And I have to say that where I am today in terms of my daily nutrition and where I was a year ago, even after years of going through the sugar detox once every 6 months or once every 3 months, but just having to repeat it every other month, you just become expert. And I'm the one who wrote it. I'm the one who studied for years on nutrition and holistic health and psychology to do it. But even I can get better, and you can get better. I can get better at focusing on my sleep, and we give hacks and apps and podcasts, all sorts of things to help you figure out what things that are holding you back are. In fact, I have something I'm so excited about for this detox. So since we're talking about prep week, I'm going to give you guys some of the other ideas that we're having during this detox only. I have 3 amazing guests who are coming on the detox. Leah Aharoni, who is a women in business coach. And the reason I invited her specifically was we had discussed different ideas about nutrition and health and her struggles and my struggles and our businesses. And I said to her, you know what, like when I am on point with my nutrition and my workouts, and I just have this energy and creativity in my business. And aside from the fact that my business is health, but in my just creativity and my content writing and things that all of us in focusing on my accounting and like the general stuff that you have to do to run a business. I'm just on it. And when I'm not, I feel lethargic, my brain isn't clear. If I have a half hour, I get so much less done and so much less efficient when I'm not eating well. And I said, you know what, like I would love if you would tell me your experience and you could help us connect and motivate ourselves and see the results of what we're doing that are beyond the scale. Because a detox and eating well is about more than just being thin. It's about living your best life and reaching your best potential. And part of that is your career. Whether you're a school teacher, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer, we have all kinds of people who do this. We have moms, just regular moms who want to be better, who want to have more energy, who want to play in the park instead of, feeling self-conscious. So about moms, I then invited psychologist Liba Lurie. And we've also been talking about self-care. We've been talking about how to help people realize how much taking care of yourself contributes to being a good mom and not, being a martyr. And I said, you are an expert in this field. Can you help me personally, and therefore everyone in the detox, to focus on the aspects of the detox like sleep, like emotional stability, like getting help and asking and creating positive relationships? Can you help us do better in those areas? Because we all know that when we're with our friends and we're happy and everything is going well, we eat so much better without even really having to think about it than when we're feeling stressed. I know when I have a hard bedtime with the kids, I would say that was 2 years ago, if I had to say my limiting factor in successful eating well, 2 years ago was getting my kids to bed. When I kind of figured out a good bedtime routine where I wasn't taking personally their arguing and their normal thing and we had a good rhythm, all of a sudden nighttime snacking, not so much a problem. Bedtime went poorly, nighttime snacking, serious problem. So these are all the kind of different things that we talk about over prep week, that we talk about throughout the detox, throughout the daily emails, throughout the weekly podcast, throughout the weekly coaching calls where we're going to have these fantastic guests. And yesterday, our newest guest contacted me, and I am not going to release all her information yet because she hasn't given me kind of her content of what she'll want to talk about. But somebody also I've spoken to about health and wellness and motherhood, but she is also a psychologist, and she's going to talk less about motherhood and more focused on mental health, because depression is real. And we all suffer from downtime sometimes, and we all suffer from different issues with our mental health. And the better we're eating and the more consistently we're exercising, the healthier we are in our mind as well as in our bodies. And it gives all of the other things that we might be doing for our mental health a huge push in the positive direction if we're taking care of ourselves nutritionally first. So here's some of the stuff that I prepped for this week. Again, we have egg cups, 2 egg cups per portion. We have our pieces of salmon. I have our yummy soup, half a sweet potato per serving, the chicken, the lentils, the brown rice, plain oatmeal, and that's it. Like, that's enough. That's easily going to last me through Thursday, no problem. And I made all of this in 1 hour. Okay, and that's not me being like super chef, super mom. A few little hints. I used frozen red beans and frozen lentils, versus for Lily's Kitchen, I good lentils and I do the whole thing. For myself, sometimes when I'm just making for me, frozen lentils are fantastic. Microwaved the sweet potatoes. Sauteed the tofu in my amazing ceramic pan, which I love. Took the tofu right out, put the lentils straight in. Didn't even have to wash the pan in between. Fantastic. I'm hungry. Let's see. Brown rice, simple, plain, olive oil, salt. I don't like to put a lot of seasoning in my brown rice when I'm making in advance, because either I'm happy to eat it that way and add something else to it, or a lot of times, like I said, I like to make my vegetable fresh. So even if I'm just defrosting frozen vegetables, but if I have time to make a stir fry or just heat something up in a frying pan, so a lot of times I'll start sauteing my vegetable and then I'll just dump the brown rice into that, and it'll get more seasoned based on whatever seasoning I'm doing for the vegetables. For example, if I'm going to do like spinach with turmeric, so I'll add the rice at the end and maybe a little bit of just water to get all the seasonings off the bottom of the pan, and then I'll season the rice. Or if I'm doing stir fry cabbage and bean sprouts, and I'll add a little soy sauce, and then I'll toss the rice in there, and the rice will get some soy sauce on it. But again, like I don't like such I love to cook for myself, and I love, especially with the chagim when I'm not cooking for Lily's Kitchen, to kind of play with new recipes for Shabbos, that kind of stuff. But especially when I do so much cooking for other people during the week, I've really just gotten into a place right now where simple is best, and the stuff I'm happiest eating, because I'm tasting, all the other food as I'm cooking it, and I just want simple. And I think that's what a lot of us want. We just want to be well nourished, and we want to feel loved, and we want to feel taken care of. And we have to do it for ourselves before we can expect those things from other people. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And I wanted to give you guys, I'll just send a little idea of how I menu plan. Like I said, I have an idea of how many portions I want to have because I'm working out. Sometimes I do the detox and I'm just walking or something. Maybe I'm doing 5K every day. Or I'm doing something where I don't have a specific goal in mind. So then, again, I'll just listen in terms of portions to what makes me feel full. So whether I have more nuts one day or less nuts the next day, I don't really care. Sometimes I like to track what I'm eating and making sure that I'm getting the right macros. For example, macronutrients being protein, carbohydrate, and fat. So I have a little tracker like this. And when I prep my food, I'll take a look and make sure that I have 4 different kinds of protein. So I have eggs, I have fish, I have beans, lentils, which I'm not going to have the same thing generally in a day. And I could also use those as my carbs, which I am using this week. I have my tofu, and I have my protein shake. I love a good protein shake. I'm a huge smoothie person, especially right after I work out. There's a lot of different brands out there. You guys all know I use Shakeology. Shakeology is not available in Israel. So there are some other things that are available in Israel that you can find. I like a vegan protein shake that's not soy-based. So that's all I try to look for when I'm looking for a protein shake. I'm looking for vegan, not soy-based. So take that as you will. There's lots of way good ones out there. There's a huge diversity of protein powders out there. I like one that has a lot of nutrients that's like my multivitamin. So that's why I chose Shakeology. But again, choose what you like. So I always have my shake every day after I work out. So that's my one protein. I have eggs usually almost every day. Second protein, if I have tofu or fish, my third major protein. And then for my fourth protein, either I'll usually have a bean or a lentil. If I decide to have fish plus tofu, so then maybe I'll have beans and lentils in my carbs. I have brown rice and oatmeal and sweet potato also as carbs if I want those instead. And then I'm going to have over 4 cups of vegetables every day. So that can be broccoli, it could be carrots, it can be lettuce, and I'll have salad. Yeah, those are, very basic kind of things. I have 3 fruits a day when I'm not on the sugar detox. When I'm on the sugar detox and I'm not having fruit that week, so then I will move my fruit into vegetables, and I'll have carrots and just more vegetables instead of fruit. Then I'll have 1 serving of like nuts or avocado, something that's like a really healthy, higher calorie fat. And for that, I'll try to have a 4th cup. That's generally how I like to divide it up, and that's based again on the eating plan. And then I'll have 2 tablespoons for, it could be seeds, it could be salad dressing, maybe throughout the weekday I'll have different, I only like to have, I don't like a lot of dressing. I'll do maybe 2 teaspoons of dressing, but throughout the day, if I have multiple salads, or I'll, put a little olive oil, lemon juice on my cut vegetables or something, no more than a total of 2 tablespoons per day. Generally, I really don't use that for salad dressing. I use it for amazing healthy desserts. Yeah. Energy bites and date balls and peanut butter cups, all recipes on my website. Those are what I use my oranges for. And then I get 4 teaspoons of healthy oils. So again, with my salad dressings, I like the food to speak for itself. So I'll have just olive oil or coconut oil. When I'm cooking on my vegetables or on my salads as a dressing, and that's it. And that's enough for me, and it's a huge amount of food for me to try to eat in a day. And if I, it's funny because when I don't start early and like if I get off and I miss breakfast, so then I'm like really stuck with too much food at the end of the day. But if I get stressed out around 2-3 p.m., all of a sudden I could get left with not enough food at the end of the day. So it's really about pacing myself, and it's really when I have a checklist, so it just forces me to pay attention a little bit more to what I'm eating. Top question I always get is, can you have wine on the sugar detox? You can take one of your yellows, one of your carbs, and you can swap that for 3 ounces of red wine, which is the healthiest kind of wine to be drinking. And we all need to have some pinukim in our life, some indulgences, and that's really healthy and balanced. So absolutely. I do recommend that during the 3 weeks of the detox, you save your wine for the weekend, for Shabbos, for the weekend, and have that be your treat then, and really focus during the week on having those healthy carbohydrates and not giving them up for wine, having the brown rice, having the lentils, having these sorts of things. So this is really helpful, and this is the kind of stuff that we go step by step, one day at a time through prep week. I know it feels like a ton of information right now, but that's exactly why we instituted preparation week, where we go step by step, day by day, and really get 100% prepared for the sugar detox, which will be next week. Next Sunday night will be our first team call for the sugar detox. So again, please feel free to share this with your friends. There's a lot of great content on here free, whether you're going to join us in this detox or not. Remember, anytime you join the detox, it is a lifetime membership. So that means you pay once, and you can do the detox however many times that you want. It was so nice to get to spend the evening with you. I got to box up all this food and get to bed because my bedtime alarm on my phone just went off, because tomorrow morning I get up super early to cook fresh for everybody who orders food from Lola's Kitchen. So have a fantastic night, and thank you for joining me.